Hello everybody, welcome to the Badlands Ballistics. Got a video in store for you today that I've been really excited about it, so let's jump right into it. Uberti, or Taylor's and Company, Uberti made, 1873. This has got the shorter barrel, smooth, or the round barrel, not the octagon, straight grip, no checkering on the stock, and believe this or not, it is chambered in 4440, or they have it marked as 44 Winchester centerfire. Lots of controversy over that. You know, I've read a ton of history about, you know, nobody else wanted to put a Winchester cartridge in their gun, so they called it, some called it 4440, some called it 44 Winchester centerfire. I'm not going to get into any of that. You guys read all that kind of stuff. You know, it's really interesting history, I think, but I've been real excited about this gun. The story about this gun is me and my brother was together one time, and I said, you know what, let's go buy us a new rifle. And so we did. We'd spent the day together and decided what the heck, we was gonna go live a little, run onto this gun. A little bit interesting thing about the gun got damaged during shipping. I don't know how well you guys can see this stock, but it's dingered up a little bit. And so the retailer was really happy to sell it. I can't remember how much he knocked off. These guns aren't cheap. You know, if you guys looked into these at all, these are not cheap. So yeah, I got a good deal on it. Honestly, to me, this can be a using gun. So talk about a couple things on it. One thing I find super interesting is the rear sight. And I can't tell you the history on it. I know that some of the Henrys, the original 1860 Henrys, had this flip up sight. And I thought, what the heck, that would be so much fun to play with this guy at some range. Is it effective? Probably not. Will it be fun? Yeah, I think it will be. I wanted this barrel length. This gun is going to sit in this in my saddle scabbard probably this fall if I can get some loads dialed in for it. If you guys watch my other channel, hopefully you do, 10 Cal Ranch, slip over there and please give me some subscribe and a thumbs up on some of those videos. Got sideways with YouTube. They are not happy with the 10 Cal Ranch, so if you guys are watching this, you want to give me a little bit of support, slip over there and subscribe to that channel. If you're watching this and haven't subscribed, please take a minute to do so. We've had some real steady growth. It's been a lot of fun. Had some great interaction with my YouTube viewers. Learned a ton from you guys. So please, you're watching these videos, if you see that there's an easier way to do something or you've experienced something that you think might help me, please leave some comments. I reply to probably 99% of the comments. So, all that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the ammo. Two different types of ammo today. This guy is a 200 grain round nose flat point. Extended family member of mine cast these, and I was telling him I was looking for some and couldn't find any, and he goes, heck, I'll give you some. So thank you, Jed, I appreciate that. We're gonna give these guys a try. Talk about the other bullet, 240 grain Hornady XTP. That looks pretty modern for a 4440, doesn't it? Why did I load these? That's a great question. I really don't know for sure. I was up late one night, couldn't sleep, started doing some loads for this 4440, and I had these guys on the shelf, and I've actually read some people having some fairly good success with the 240 grain bullet in the 4440. So I got the chronograph set up today. Today's video is going to be actually a little bit longer than what I normally like to make, but I got a lot of information to cover today. So I'll try to edit out all the boring parts and try to just keep the meat and potatoes of the video going. So I'll tell you about the powders that we're loading. IMR 4227 is one, and I don't share load data on the channel. If you guys are watching this and you're interested in the exact load data, please shoot me an email. I'll share it to you that way. I will not share it on the channel. There again, YouTube's been pretty touchy about this. Me and YouTube's not in the great terms right now, so I'm being maybe a little extra careful, but I would be happy to share any information via email. So please shoot me an email. We can discuss it till the cows come home. So what I got on this bullet, 4227, this bullet also 4227. I've got three other loads. I've got some Universal, the 4227 on this one, and I drew a blank what the other one is. I gotta look at my notes. Oh, 2400. 2400 powder. So if you guys watch the channel at all, you guys know I use a ton of tight group. I've used tight group in 44 mag with good success. I've used tight group with 45 ACP, 38. I mean, tight group for moderate loads to light loads. Tight group is great. I actually reached out to a YouTuber that was doing some load data on 4440s and asked about tight group, and he says he had not had good luck with tight group for whatever reason. So I tried other stuff. So you know, to me, universal is almost exactly the same as unique, only cleaner. It's almost been non-existent to find. I'm not sure why Hodgdon's kept it away from us, but I've got a little bit of it, so I decided to try that. But I have really liked universal, kind of in that unique genre of load, you know, middle of the road loads for 45 Colt, 44 mag, a lot of things like that. The universal, unique, both work very well. So that's part of it. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna chronograph all of my loads, including this 240 grain bullet, and then we're gonna do some side-in stuff at 25 yards, and if things go good, of course, we're gonna go to 50 yards. So let's talk 4440 for a minute. Why in the world would anybody in modern day America choose to have a 4440 in any caliber? Let's talk about the guns I have, what I'm gonna call saddle guns. I got an awesome Marlin 30A Glenfield in 30-30 16-inch barrel Skinner sights. You guys have seen the videos on that. That is a fantastic gun. Is there a better saddle gun in the world than that one? I would argue maybe there is not one. I don't know. I love that gun. I've also got a Winchester Model 94 Trapper in 44 mag with Skinner sights. Hopefully you guys have seen the videos on that. Fantastic gun. That is a shooting son of a gun. Really like that. So now I have this. I also have a 1886 and 4570. That's got a 22-inch round barrel. Also a fantastic saddle gun. So now I have this 1873. Why in the world would I do that? Well, I'll give you the explanation from my simple little mind. For whatever reason, I wanted to have the experience of riding my horse on the mountain, gathering cows, being historically correct. 4440, 1873 on my saddle scabbard, Colt single action army, 4440 on my holster, or on my belt. Of course, I'm probably never gonna own an original 4440 in a Colt single action army, but the Ubertis are quality guns. And would that scratch that itch that I want to be riding around in the mountains with this historically correct guns on my horse, herding my own cattle? I think it scratched that itch. I don't have the handgun yet. That's, you know, down the road at some point. But anyway, that's why I wanted to do it. Does it make any sense at all? Absolutely not. Do a lot of things I do around here make sense? No, not really. We do them anyway, and it's fun, right? So, before we get to shooting, one thing to talk about on this, I'm gonna say this modern manufactured 4440s, 44 Winchester centerfire, however you want to, tomato, you want to say it. They're anything modern manufacturer from our friends in Italy are 429 bullet diameter. Ruger made a run of Vaqueros in 4440, and as much as I love Ruger, you guys know, I mean, Ruger's almost like an old friend to me. I've had him for so long. Most of my life I've had a Ruger of some sort. They missed it on that. There's no other way to put it. They missed it. They use 40-29 barrels and 427 chamber throats. Those guns have almost became a collector's item. Yeah, you go on Gunbroker and buy as many as you want. You're gonna pay a premium price for them. The simple solution, you take a chamber reamer, you chamber ream your throats out to 429, 430, shoot modern 429 bullets. You know, these guys are sized like 429.5, and you've got a fantastic shooter. How did Ruger miss that? I don't know. As much as I love Ruger, I'm never gonna badmouth them, but boy, they missed the boat on that one. So anyway, enough yapping. We've done a lot of talking about stuff today. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna chronograph a couple rounds of every one of these. So I got 4 loads today. So hopefully you guys get a bag of popcorn and a cold drink and interested in watching this longer video, but I'm really interested in this. This 240 grain bullet I'm hoping is going to be in the neighborhood of 1,000 feet. Everything else, I'm hoping 11 to 1,200 feet. I'm not going to try to make this a 44 mag. Don't even, I mean, I'm sure I might get some hater comments that say if I want a 44 mag, why don't I shoot one? Reading the books, I've got an old Lyman, I don't remember the edition. This book is old as dirt, man. It's like probably my age. That old, really. Yeah, they did have paper back then. It's old. And it talks about a category 1, category 2 guns. The 1873s is category 1, the 92s and modern Marlins are the category 2s. They're getting 1,100 feet on a 200 grain bullet out of these rifles. So that's what my hope is. Also, another thing to think about, if I was shooting an original gun from early 1900s, late to 1800s, I would be shooting the very, very bottom of all of that load data. Shooting original Colt pre-1900, also shooting the very, very bottom. You know, maybe this would be going 900 feet out of a rifle and 700 out of a handgun. I'm not doing that. I'm shooting modern manufactured, modern steels. I mean, been a lot of discussion on the internet that you can get a lot more out of these guns because of the manufacturing, the steels, all that business. Of course, our gun load data experts and our ammunition, they do all of that with in mind that somebody might take an 1873 that was manufactured in 1874 and try to use this load data for it. So they got to be ultra conservative, which I appreciate that. I really do. There again, I'm not trying to make a 44 mag out of this. 200 grain bullet going 1,100 plus feet out of a rifle, very mild, and out of a handgun, they should be in that 800 to 900 feet. I think that's reasonable. The 240 grain bullet, we'll see how that goes. I think this will be closer to, I don't know, probably 1,000 feet, maybe 1,100. I'm not sure. We'll see where this baby goes, but I'm super excited about it. I'm gonna quit talking. Let's do some shooting. What I'm gonna do is get the chronograph going, and I'll tell you, I'm gonna shoot 2 or 3 through the chronograph. I'll talk to you about what it is, and then we'll go look at the data. Okay, the first ones I'm gonna shoot is the 240 grain XTP. I didn't load many of these, so I'm only gonna shoot 2. And we'll see what the chronograph's telling us this is gonna do. So we'll do those first. That first one was 10:45. I'm gonna write all this down and we'll go over the data in a minute, but 10:45, it's about perfect. Second one was 11:05. That almost seems a little hotter than I expected, but I think it's okay. So here's the empty case. See how clean that is? It ejected perfectly. No pressure signs at all. I don't think that's too hot of a load. I really don't. I think that is just fine. That might be a great deer hunt load. Okay guys, the next one we're gonna shoot is a 2400 powder. 2400 is known for being pretty good for these moderate loads. I mean, this is nowhere what I'm gonna call a maximum load. So I'm hoping this, I think with this 240 grain bullet, this load will be maybe 1150, somewhere in there. We'll see what it does. So that one read 13:32:22. That's a little on the top end side. That seems a little hot. I'm not sure I want to have a bunch of those. I don't know why the chronograph seems to be reading. That one says 13:73. Those puppies are a little hot. So you guys think I'm crowding unsafe territory on that? I think it seems a little bit hot. If I wanted to go shoot 1,000 of those with cowback shooting, could I damage the gun? Maybe. I don't think that's where I want to be with this. We're gonna try some of these other loads. The next thing are gonna be 4227. Well, I can tell you right now that that load felt even softer. That's like 1209. I'm gonna shoot 2 more. That was really close, 1216. $13.07. So that last one ran a little high. Last but not least, we're going to be using universal powder on this last one. I can tell you guys that was even a milder load, 1126 on the universal. $10.97. $11.13. So I'll tell you, the load that seemed to be the very best as far as consistency on velocity was the universal. High of 1126, low of 1097. So that is pretty dang close. That was, of any of them, that was the closest. That's kind of that range I want to be in. You know, that's the 1100 feet. So now, and I'm okay with the 4227 load. That was 1209, and it had one 1307, but it had a 1209 and a 1216 and a 1307. Sometimes I question the accuracy of these chronographs. I would be okay with that load too. The 2400 load, that was up into the 1350 range. That seemed a little too hot. The 240 grain bullet, that seemed okay too. That was around, let me grab my book. So I only shot 2 of the 240 grain. That was a 1045 and a 1105. So that one is okay. So we're gonna just shoot them on paper and see where it's at. We're gonna probably have to adjust some sights, monkey around with that. Here again, I told you this is gonna be a little bit longer video, but I'm excited to get through this material. So I think what we're gonna shoot first is the unique load, and we'll see what where we get on accuracy. All right, before we get starting shooting the paper, I want to show you something on this sight. I did not know until right now. Maybe you guys already knew this, but I'll show you. So this sight in this configuration has no sight elevator. There's no way to lift that sight in that position. So if you need elevation, you got to go to the old sights like that and then raise this feller up and down. I did not know there's no sight elevator at that point. If you guys have any experience with this, please let me know, because this is something new to me. I'm gonna just shoot it on 25. We're gonna see where this guy's at. All right, guys, they did not have a good squeeze on that last. The trigger's not really great on this, but the action's super smooth. But anyway, I could tell on the last one wasn't a great squeeze. Let's go have a look. Okay, guys, I don't think I could be more pleased with this. I'm holding the front sight level with the sides on the rear sight and aiming right here. And look what I got. A little bit of a 6 o'clock sight picture. That's about a 1-inch group. Not unhappy with that at all. Perfect windage left and right. So like I say, I'm holding the top of the front sight about right here, level with the buckhorn on the rear sight. Holy smokes, I don't think I could be happy with that. We'll go ahead and mark them. Okay guys, the next one we're going to shoot is the 4227 loads. So just to recap a little bit, that universal load was about the 1100 foot per second range, and this 4227 load is about the 12 to 1300 feet per second range. Probably if we average them out, it'd be about 1250. Not saying that's unsafe. I think that's definitely within the safe parameters of this gun. Even if I had a handgun, I think it would be. It's just slightly hotter than the universal, but I think either one would be fine. That universal load, pretty dang good. We'll see how the 4227 goes. Boy, on that third one, I had a bad pull. Yeah, I just felt, I don't know, that last one was a bad squeeze, but let's go look at it anyway. Okay, so the group's not near as good, but I pulled this one. There's no question. These were my first two shots. I could see them from just the naked eye. So I'm not gonna say we're gonna rule this load out. I mean, not a great group. You know, that's 2 3/4. See, these two guys were barely over an inch. If I would have had that third one in there, that would have been, we may come back to that one. I'm gonna go ahead and mark those. Okay, so the next three we're gonna try on paper is the 240 grain XTP loads, and they're right at 1100 feet per second. I'm not even gonna shoot the 2400 powder loads on paper. They were 1300 feet per second plus. I'm not gonna use them. Is that truly safe in this gun? Probably so. Am I gonna err on the side of caution a little bit? I am. I mean, there was no sticky ejection, nothing crazy like that. I don't wanna risk it. I don't have no reason to. If I need a powerful gun, I got a lot more powerful guns. 240 grain bullet going 1100 feet per second. Would that be good deer medicine under 100 yards? I wouldn't be scared one bit of taking a deer with that. Even these 200 grain round, those flat points, you know, the 227 load was around that 2400 or 1200 feet per second. The universal load was like 1100 feet per second. Any of those loads would be just fine for deer at those, you know, range restrictions. You know, under 100 yards, not 125, not 150, under 100. Any of these would be good. So anyway, we're gonna shoot this jacketed 240 grain XTP, see where it's at. All right, let's walk up and have a look. And if I can see what I think I can see from here, we might have a pretty great group going. Let's go check it out. All right, guys, well, I'm pretty happy with that. I thought it was gonna be a little better. These two look like, these were my first two. I could see them from back there. They looked like it was a little closer. That third one I pulled just a tiny bit. We're still 1.25 inches. About the same group wise as this 200 grain universal load. Point of impact you guys can see is slightly higher. I'm aiming right here. Is that worth being concerned about? Not a bit. I wouldn't think twice about using that load. Pretty happy with it. Okay, so what we're gonna do next is I got target set up at 50 yards. We're gonna shoot the IMR, the universal, and the 240 grain XTP bullet at 50. Like I said earlier, I'm not gonna use that 2400 load. It's just too hot. There's no reason to monkey around with that. I'm not even gonna do any really low development on it. That's just not what I think is the right thing to do with this gun, this application. But it'll be fun to see what these guys will do at 50. So just for the sake of time, I've got the gun loaded up with 9 rounds, and I'm just gonna shoot 3 3-shot groups. Then we'll walk up and look at the target and all 3. So here we go. Okay guys, I'll show you what's going on there in just a minute. I scratched my finger there, got a little blood. I'm gonna grab a paper towel real quick. Well guys, this is why we do things at the range. Look what I got going on here. Don't drop it. The bullet pushed down in the case. Of course I got a fly buzzing me. See that? Definitely unsafe to shoot. So what's happened is, to get the overall length to cycle through this gun, I had to go blow the cantilever. I put a crimp on it with a Dillon crimp die. Didn't do enough. So, well, that's what we learned on these babies, didn't we? Every one of them are that way. So I unloaded the gun. This was the very last one that was in the magazine tube, and the bullet did not shrink down into there. So I'm going to shoot this one. Then we'll talk about a few lessons learned for today. All right, let's go look at the target, and then we'll talk about some things I learned with 4440 today. Okay, so this is very interesting. The groups sizes didn't change much. So I want you guys to just notice this was from a previous project. This is a big, 3-4 foot square sheet of paper, and this was from another project. But anyway, this was from my 45 ACP Ruger LC carbine. Hopefully you guys you've seen that video. But so this is the IMR load, or the IMR 4227 load. That's about a 2-inch group. Not great, but okay. Look at the universal load. That's a solid 1-inch group. That's better than what I got at 25 yards. Another interesting thing about the sight picture. Hang on just 1 second. Okay guys, I wanted to explain to you, I hope it has some value. This is what my sights look like. This is the front post, and this sits in the rear buckhorn style sight. And then I put this right underneath that square. So if I'm aiming at this square, the top post is sitting right here. Look where I'm hitting. So normally how I hold the sights on these is I would put this guy closer to the bottom of the buckhorn so that I can only see a small part of it. Today I did it like this. So to me, if I spend enough time with this and get the load dialed in, I may be better off putting it here if I'm under 50 yards. Put it here if I'm at 100. That's how this gun may work. It's going to take some time at the range to figure that out, but I'll tell you what, I am pleased as punch with that. I think I found my load. What do you guys think? Okay guys, gonna wrap up the video. It's been a little longer than I normally like to do videos. We covered a lot of country today. Let me talk about my experiences with the 4440 reloading. You guys seen what happened on that 240 grain bullet? I passed the crimp groove. So I may try a 200 grain XTP. That may be, if I want to go with a jacketed bullet, that may be the ticket. So 4440, extremely sensitive to overall length. I didn't know that until I started playing around with it. I thought that with the way that action is, the cartridge comes straight back, goes straight up, straight into the chamber, there'd be some flexibility with overall cartridge length. Boy, was I wrong. I tried to load some Keith bullets in this. I have a whole, you guys seen my channel, I love 44 mags, I shoot a ton of Keith bullets. So I had some available, so what the heck, I'll give it a try. I ended up loading that thing so deep that to get the right overall length to cycle through the gun, I was past all of the bands, and so now the bullet is down inside the case like this, and that case edge was hanging up terrible. So if you have the notion of loading a Keith bullet in 4440, believe me, do not waste your time. It does not work. So I tried that 240 grain XTP bullet. I had to go below the crimp groove to get the gun to cycle. We've seen how well that worked, right? Didn't work at all. Anyway, so very important to get the right bullet. A lot of cast bullets out there that are correct. I think this cast bullets I was using worked fine because it's got a crimp groove. You can put a relatively heavy crimp into that crimp groove and have good luck, which I feel like I did today. So if Mike Vitrino, you guys read any of his stuff, bless his heart, he's passed away. We've lost a great guy there, but he wrote an article one time on 4440s that he was loading smokeless powder, and he did extensive testing on it, but he'd only load 3 at a time, shoot groups, chronograph, kind of what I did here. Well, he had success. So he goes to a cowboy action shoot, loads the full magazine tube up, shoots about 3 rounds, and he could tell something was wrong, and those bullets had slid into the case because he didn't have them in the right crimp groove. He wasn't essentially using the right bullet. So that is the unique thing about 4440, because it will, where it's a slight bottleneck case, you know, it will have a tendency to slip down into the case, just like you guys seen on that XTP bullet. So anyway, am I excited about this? Absolutely. I love this gun. I love what's going on here. This universal load, shot a 1-inch group at 50 yards, guys. Man, I am pleased as punch. We will be shooting this gun at 100, I can guarantee you. And in theory, that'd be a 2-inch group at 100 with open sights. Holy smokes. I'd be the happiest guy in town with that. So anyway, am I gonna use this as my primary deer rifle? Not even close. Will I take a deer with this some point? I might. So I got to decide, do I try to get a 200 grain Hornady XTP bullet for deer hunting, or do I use a cast bullet? Leave some comments. Tell me what you guys think. I think a cast bullet going 1,100 feet at under 100 yards, I think you would have very great success on deer size game. Well-placed shot. I mean, yeah, it definitely has its limitations, which we know that shooting these types of guns, right? We know that. Of course, the biggest limitation is probably me with my 54-year-old eyes and shooting at distance. I think under 75 yards with that 200 grain cast bullet, shooting at deer going 1,100 feet, I think you'd knock a deer into next week and be just fine with it. So anyway, gonna wrap it up. Please leave some comments. Like I say, I mentioned earlier in the video, I answer all my comments. This is new to me. I'm sure, I hope there's somebody that watches this that's had experience with 4440. Please leave some comments. I am really super excited about that universal load. 1,100 feet. Universal is a great powder. I have 4 or 5 pounds of it. I think I got enough to keep me out of trouble for a while. But so anyway, leave some comments. Please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.